One. Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Joining me today on Calgary's podcast is Julie Lemieux, who is CEO and director of Triple Point Resources. Thanks, Julie, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Mario, for having me.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Triple Point Resources. Tell me just a little bit about the company and what you folks do.
Yeah, Triple Point is a company with a project in our flagship project is in Newfoundland. We have a salt dome that we want to develop to store clean energy through like compressed air energy storage and hydrogen. It's one of the best wind corridor in Atlantic Canada, and having a salt dome allow to create basically clean energy on demand. We'll be able to store all the excess energy from all the wind to hydrogen project that are coming online, and any wind project that are coming like in any province in Atlantic. There is that much space in cavern we will build to harness all that energy and dispatch it on demand.
Okay, let's talk just a couple logistics here and specifics, Julie. How long ago was Triple Point formed?
Yeah, so Triple Point was formed in 2022, and it was a spin out from another company called Atlas Salt. Atlas Salt is focusing on a salt mine that they want to develop for road salt. And part of their portfolio, they had that salt dome, and they started having phone calls on what they would do with the salt dome if people start to be interested. And the director of that time, they decided to spin that out. So we created Triple Point with the salt dome and all the other mineral claim that came in the region with salt deposit. And now my focus was to see what we can do with the salt dome and what would be the most interesting for the company to bring value to shareholder, and with having one of the best wind corridor mega project coming along in the region, it became obvious that using salt cavern storage for wind energy and storing the excess and supporting the industry, it's a big part of the value chain in renewable that sometimes is not looked at from the start, but salt cavern storage is the most economical way of storing excess energy, and you can accumulate a lot of energy there to support off-taker or to create a strategic reserve. So there's multiple way of having the use of salt cavern storage in the renewable industry. So starting in 2022, I think one of my first visit in Newfoundland was to be at the press conference with Chancellor Scholz at that time in Germany, and Prime Minister Trudeau, that were there to launch the Canadian German Hydrogen Alliance. Germans are very eager to receive more energy from Canada, from any different type of energy, but especially specifically for that conference for hydrogen. So we were very confident at that time it's something we can do. And again, like having all the ingredient, we have the wind, we have the willpower of private company who wants to come and have massive wind farm, gigawatt of wind that they want to exploit, and salt cavern storage. So we had really the best ingredient to make it happen. Now we see a little slowdown in the hydrogen export, but I think with Europe being highly committed to hydrogen, it will happen at one point. In the meantime, we have our own need for power here in Canada, and we can support the grid in Newfoundland and Labrador, and use salt cavern storage to have more and more renewable integrated to the energy mix in Atlantic Canada. So
Mhm.
for us, we continue like it's business as usual for us.
So tell me a couple things. First of all, where does the name come from, and why the name Triple Point?
Yeah, so Triple Point, we're trying to find a company name uh, originally to be able to catch the attention on what we can do with salt cavern. And salt cavern has been used since the 60s to store either liquid gas. I guess you can store solid as well. And triple point is the junction of where solid, liquid, and gas come in equilibrium. So we thought it was quite an interesting way of describing the company, and we picked triple point for that reason.
Okay, and tell me why Newfoundland specifically, why there and not some other province to start with?
Yeah, well, because it's there. It's a little bit like anything else. This is a natural structure. So the salt dome itself is located in Newfoundland. Those are very unique structure. It's the only one that is proven today on all the eastern seaboard of North America, from basically from Florida all the way to Newfoundland. That's a salt dome that's been discovered in the 60s. It's been drilled many times. And we're just now showcasing what we can do with this asset. So
Oh,
this is really why it's happening there. And it's interesting because it's a technique that is highly used in the oil and gas industry, but now we want to use it for clean energy. So it helps to bring, I think, to close the gap between the traditional way of consuming and extracting energy, and now clean energy can use the exact same technique, so people can transfer their skill into this type of business.
so tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved, first of all, with this company?
Yeah, so first, it seems that it's full circle for me on what I've done in the past. So I work in a company where, very large company. I worked for a company called CGI at one point, trying to develop the geographic information system aspect of the company for all Western Canada. So I was working a lot with government entities, and I met through that type of work a lot of people in environmental, in government relation. And just prior to that, I was working for an environmental consulting firm here in Calgary. So I was able to see how projects go from conception to to putting it on paper, getting the environmental impact assessment done with all the discipline that it implies, dealing with local communities, and make sure we can have a report that is meaningful, and we can submit that to government for permitting, basically. So I've seen that, and then yeah, my work at CGI brought me like a broader range with government. And then I met a group of investors from Vancouver and here Calgary, and they're investing in a lot of different companies around the world. And I start spending some time with them, looking at their investment, and sometimes they just like a good story. Like, I'm more pragmatic. I like to make sure that it's not just a good story. It can be executed well. And sometimes you have founder that they've never experienced something bigger than what they have. So I was able to bring them from the concept to executing, I think, more efficiently on their project, and make sure that the money from the investor was well spent. So when this project came true, not a lot of people knew on the team, not a lot of people knew what you can do with Salt Dome. So they asked me, and it's not that I'm an expert. I was definitely not an expert in Salt Dome, but I have a tendency to be, I would say, very curious, and I figure out things pretty quick. So very quickly, I realized that this is an incredible asset that we have, and with the development of hydrogen and compressed air energy storage, there is something we can do there, not just for Newfoundland and Labrador, but for, I think, for Canada as a whole. We can have an energy reserve there. So we realized very quickly that there's something to do with that. So for me, it came from my experience with these investors. They trusted me to spend their money well, and knowing how to bring a project from concept to permit was something that I've done. And then I've helped company to be, I would say, more mature, to be in their growth stage of business. So I know what it takes to become bigger as well. And this is the type of company that I can bring from basically from concept to reality and operation. And I feel I have the capacity to do that. And
Yeah.
I'm very good at recruiting the best people, smarter people than me, everywhere I've been, and I've no shame for me to bring smart people. There is a lot of interest to work on this project, and I have an incredible team.
So, are you from Calgary?
No, I'm from Quebec City originally. I moved to Calgary 20 years ago and got the bug for the mountains and skiing. So I decided to stay, and I'm here, and it's for this project in particular. Even if it's a project in Newfoundland and Labrador, there is a lot of people from Newfoundland and Labrador. Some of them wants to go back home, and a lot of people from Newfoundland have incredible career in the oil and gas
Yeah.
here in Alberta. So they are very, very impressed by the fact that in Newfoundland, in their own backyard, there is a salt dome, something that is very unique. There's no other salt dome in Canada that is ready to be developed. There is salt cavern here in Alberta, but it's just a very different type of salt that is developed in. So it's quite interesting to see and go at different event, and Stampede is coming up, so we'll see how we'll be able to tease again Newfoundland and Labradorian from here from Alberta.
So tell me, I you're starting in the energy sector. Like, how did that come about? Like, why did you kind of choose this sector to go into as a professional career?
I think it a little bit happened that way. I think Calgary is a very active entrepreneurial town,
Yeah.
and that's what attracted me to this city originally. Like I feel very from the start. I came here right after university in '96 the first time, and I was like, wow, I really like the vibe here. And then I came back many years after that in 2000, 2002, 2003, and it's the same thing. People are valued for what they bring, what they say, and how they execute on. And it's something that is very close to me. It's not based on uh, sometimes the study you've done in the past. It's really based on what you can achieve and what you've done and what you're able to do. And that's something that I really like from the city is people will take you. It doesn't matter where you're from. A lot of people come from outside the city, and you're welcome. And you're welcome to bring what you know and bring your ideas. And that's what attracted me. And slowly, from one project to the other, you get recognized for, I guess, your own asset as a person, and people call you back to have your skill set on their project, and then it just happened that it was in the energy sector.
So how was it initially for you working on the energy sector, being a female?
Being a female, like it's always you feel sometimes challenged, but at the same time, I've been in with men's. My engineering studies were with men. There was, I think we were 100 that year, and there was six, seven, 10 women. So there's very little women. I've been with men all the time, so I know. I think when it's time to stay firm on your position. And I I don't know, like I feel that I'm part of uh, the discussion and I'm respected. I like to listen a lot. Maybe I've been listening a lot to see how things are happening in this circle or particular circle, and then I ask the right question. And most of the time there's always a man that open doors for me career wise to move to the next step because I guess I can execute on and the trust is there. So I didn't have to, not that I didn't have to push too hard, but sometimes you do and sometimes you feel you need to work harder. But I've never compared myself to another man and the position as I hope that I'm in this position because I deserve it and I'm at that stage in my career.
What advice would you give a young woman who is entering entering the energy sector for her career?
Well, be yourself, be confident of your skill set. Um, I would say that it is not necessarily an easy path, but I prefer that path compared to being, I don't know, an accountant as an example. I think accountants is way more difficult. Like the competition inside accountant firm is very strong. I think in the energy sector you have a lot more flexibility to move laterally or to move up, and just find where you are comfortable and be proud and don't be shy to give your opinion. So that's yeah, that's it. That would be my advice.
So when you look at sorry, how many years altogether? You said 96, right? They first came here. So you've got probably about 20 years in Calgary, roughly.
Yeah, I was 20 years in Calgary. I arrived in 2002, 2003. That was a good time, like just before another boom in the city, and I connected with like-minded people that like to work hard, but also like to play in the mountain and go skiing and go mountain biking and go hiking. And I think that what made the difference for me, because to be in an office in Montreal, Toronto, London, or Paris, uh, it's an office. You need to behave with the people that are there. But
Yeah.
what you do outside of work, I think that's what is defining you. And I like being in the environment that we're in. I like to go in the mountain in particular. I think one day for me in the mountain is like going on holidays for a week. So I really like that. It fits me well. And I think as long as it fits you well, I think it's the place to be. We're just an hour away from the mountain. So it's very great for me to be there with like-minded people.
What do you do when you go to the mountains?
I like skiing in the winter.
Oh,
I really like hiking in the summer. I start to like going close to Invermere, go at the lake there. It's very interesting, very kind people that like to have good glass of wine and good barbecue and just discuss about life in general and not be glued to the news and what's going on around the world. Like you never know. Like it sometimes, some days it goes crazy.
yeah, exactly. How
So
would you describe what your leadership style is?
yeah, my leadership style. I think I got that question a few times and I try to adapt it with the environment I'm in. Like we are a startup company that start to get just a little bit bigger. We start to have a lot more traction. So I think it evolves with time. When you are in a startup, you need to be highly focused. You need to be try to set a clear vision of what can happen. At the same time, you need to be open for change and you need to be creative and listen to what the market is telling you, what the investor are telling you, and you need to adapt. So sometimes it can look that you're not very focused some days, but you need to adjust with the signal that you receive. So being an entrepreneur is also to be reactive. You need to go through doors sometimes and be very positive about the outlook of what you can bring and the asset. Like in our case, we have a fantastic asset. We need to showcase this asset to so many people. And it's not, you can decide that you're going to wait for the phone call. Well, I don't wait for the phone call. I make those calls and I make list of group that I need to connect with and I advance so that that's very hands-on. Then we get more mature. I think, a little bit hands-off and I let the team uh, advance. So I adjust my leadership style with what I see, how I feel. I've been in very large organization, very small organization. So I think I have a good way of bring the company to a point where most likely another leader will come. But it's start to become my baby as well, and I want to push it through and make sure it's going to be developed. And now there's more and more unbelievable people that are getting closer to us to help and support. And so finding the right group to support that you can trust, that's something that's very interesting. So I'm an adaptive leader with what I feel, but also what I can read from the market and from a lot of different stakeholder. But there is definitely, I think the value that I bring. I want to make sure it's authentic, it's honest. I like to be surrounded by loyal people. Sometimes it's great days, sometimes it's not that fun, and you need to push it through. You need to find ways. There's always a solution, and I'm never in a corner. So it's we need to continue to advance, and finding a way to make it that it's positive and fun to come at the office. I think it's
Mhm.
super important. It's like it's not work for me. That's the best thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks so much, Julie, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Mario.
Okay, that was Julie Lemieux, who is CEO and Director of Triple Point Resources in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Managing Editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us today.